Welcome back. It's a Fulbright Friday here with your co-host LP and
LT. We're glad you could join us.
And it's really exciting today because
it's time for another
prize drawing.
Prizes.
These are our prizes. As you remember, these are the really nice moleskin journals.
Yeah, very nice.
And what's also really exciting is we just figured out how to randomly select names in Excel.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that.
So we don't need to
draw out of a hat.
Mm-hmm.
That's old school.
Okay, very
We're
exciting.
moving on technology.
Yep,
Technology
randomly.
is
So
great.
how did we randomly sort our Excel folks that met with us for an advising appointment to win one of these beautiful journals? Now, you're going to read out the names, but if you hear your name called, you need to send Fulbright@georgetown.edu an email to claim your prize. And you'll want to claim fast because there's lots of colors and you want to make sure you get the color you want. So tell them who will be winning one of these nice moleskin journals.
Okay, Graham Willard. Great.
Next.
First one, Katie Wysong. Number 2, Elaine Shen. Number 3, Nicole Howard. Number 4. Oh, we have 6.
Yeah, we have 6.
Okay. Connor Eichenwald. Number 5, and the number 6 one we'll do in our next episode.
See, this is the problem. If we had a hat full of names, we could have drawn
true.
in.
Keep them going. Oh.
Okay, well, you'll hear about the next winner next time. Okay, if you heard your name, send us an email.
Great. And speaking of excitement, I know you had a special weekend.
I did.
Full of excitement.
Mhm.
Tell me what you did.
This past weekend was my little girl's first birthday party, so it was really exciting.
That's so cute.
All her little friends came and brought her little gifts. It was fun, yeah.
And they just like Gaga and Goo Goo.
Pretty much, yeah. And the thing is, Oliver, my older son, wanted to open all the presents up. So it's I guess you can.
Does he understand sharing? That?
No.
Oh, okay.
Which is fine because she can't protest right now. She just looks at him and he yanks it away.
No.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of birthdays when I was a kid.
Yeah. What
Fighting over
did
gifts
you
and
do?
stuff.
You fought
I don't
over
know.
presents?
Not really, but it's just when you have a first birthday, then you think back when you were a kid, and all these fond memories come back of the things that you got when you were a kid. Did you not have a memorable birthday party from the past?
I mean, I don't remember what presents I received, but we always did crafts. Because my mom was an elementary school teacher, so
forced fun.
Well, no, but it was fun.
Mm-hmm. For you.
So we always did
your friends were like, okay.
I think I mentioned in a previous episode, I used to have really long hair, and so I'd have a braid. So it'd be pin the braid on Laura.
That was the game?
That was the game we did.
Would they win anything?
You just won, you had pride in the fact that you came out ahead.
Tackle your friend and pin the braid on Laura. Okay.
No, you mean on the wall. Pin
Oh, I thought they were running around pinning you, and I'm
no.
This is not fun.
Pin the tail of the donkey.
Okay.
Well.
No party games were had. I guess I just didn't have those kind of cool friends. Okay, it's time to take it to the social media room. LP, what have we got this time?
Thank you, LT. We just received a tweet from Ernesto Sewingway, who says that he is doing an ETA and wants to know what would be good for a side project. So, LT, take it over.
Thank you, Ernesto Sewingway, for that awesome question. So, for those of you that are designing an English teaching proposal in which there is a side project required, the first thing you need to do is actually go back to the country page and check for specific details that might be indicating what you should or should not be proposing for a side project. Indeed, some of the countries ask you not to propose a side project because the entirety of the award you'll be doing English teaching activities. However, it's not uncommon for a side project to be required, and in those instances your country might have some special interests or special rules or requirements around what you're proposing to do. So it's really important that you check your country page and look at the supplementary project subtab to see what's going to be required of you as you design and think about what would make for a really good side project. Otherwise, you have some tips about side projects that would be helpful for Ernesto?
I mean, I was just going to echo that and say sometimes it's community service oriented, sometimes they say it should be rooted in your professional interests, could be research, but that's all on the country page. Also, I mean, everything should be oriented around the country or grant page anyway, because sometimes as an ETA, they'll also say the embassy might require you to teach some kinds of American culture classes or be engaged in other kinds of activities, and it's good to indicate that in your proposal that you're excited to engage in those kinds of ways as well.
One last thing about side projects, it's really important that you think about designing a project that's feasible in multiple different areas within country. You don't always get the option, and actually in fact you rarely get the option of selecting your preferred teaching assistantship placement. So you need to design a project, if that's required of your grant proposal for your ETA, in something that you could do in the north, the south, the east, or the west of your country, just as feasibly.
It's not geographically limited.
That's a better way to say it. It's not geographically limited. All right, LP, it's time for
hot tips
and country highlights. Let's do some tips today.
Yeah, tips.
All right, so what are you getting a lot of? Like, what's something like?
Yeah, something that I think I want to address, or that I think we both want to address, actually,
Sure.
it's come up several times.
What's that?
Is that we see potential research candidates who come come to us, perhaps have never done research previously, are really starting from an early point in thinking about like methodology, what counts as methodology, what is a research question that's specific and focused enough that can take up those 9 months of time. If this is something that perhaps proves daunting, or it seems like you need additional time in order to develop as a potential researcher, you might really think about the master's programs. The master's programs are offering you more structure, potentially have a research component as part of the programs that can like get you started. But you have that academic community, you'd be working closely with a faculty mentor, and there are so many of these master's programs that are taught in English too.
Yeah, so if you're having like some challenging, you know, if you're experiencing challenges developing your statement of grant purpose for your research proposal, you shouldn't think like maybe I'll do Fulbright later, whatever. Why don't you schedule an advising appointment and we can talk about how you might be able to still achieve your academic goals, but doing so with a little bit more structure through applying to a master's or study award. So let us know about that and we can help guide you in that process.
It is
Fan
the
club
Fulbright Fan Club
time.
segment where we answer questions from our fans who want to know more about your interesting, fascinating hosts.
FPAs.
FPAs.
Your co-host of this glorious. Oh, I don't know if I've got the one. Okay, the question is, what is the worst job you've ever had?
No.
Fascinating.
Well, in a previous episode, I know I talked about the movie theater. But something that immediately comes to mind is when I worked at an optometrist office. So I answered the phones, I helped people select the glasses.
Yeah, it sounds so bad.
No,
You're
no,
sitting there in the air conditioning.
No, I haven't gotten
on
to
a chair.
I haven't gotten to it yet. But so like helping people select glasses was fine, and you get to like think about people's style. But the worst part was when they bring in their glasses that were like caked with like dirt and other kinds of disgusting oils. We called it nose jam. And you had to go in the back and like clean out the glasses
so
like right around the nose. And that's disgusting, cleaning off people's nose jam off their glasses.
Yeah. That's pretty gross. Although it's not like a horrible worst job. So
no, the movie theater probably was.
Yeah, it's like I would feel like the like the floor in the movie theater and the
sticky
popcorn. You're always smelling like popcorn. It's probably worse. But I mean, like I like this idea that there's a term for that stuff that gets on your glasses. Now I'm like super like conscious about my glasses situation.
I've been meaning to tell you
because I do like seriously have like sometimes look at my glasses and oh my god, I need to just like take care of my like glasses hygiene. So don't look at my nose jam. Outside of that, I could just pick from so many bad jobs that I've had because I've had a lot of food industry jobs and you just don't want to know what goes beyond like behind
it's
the
like the
kitchen.
movie theater popcorn, like butter.
I will say like one time I was working at a bakery in London and one of the individuals that I worked with, like you could get a croissant and you know how sometimes you want your croissants warmed up. So one of the ways that instead of, because our bakery was like lots of floors and we had a food like chute, so you could like send the food up and down.
Oh, like a dumb waiter.
Yeah. So like if a patron wanted one of the croissants warmed up, instead of like sending it back up to the kitchen or whatever, he would put it in the dishwasher with the steam on and then send it back out. People loved it.
Oh my gosh.
These are the type of people that work in food industry.
I just read Kitchen Confidential too, so I was reading more about
that's
that.
really sad.
Well, yeah, but
Okay.
it's kind of an honor of him, Anthony Bourdain, but
Next.